Okay, so this is problem 2.2.39, and they ask us to solve, and we're looking at negative 6 over 7x equal to negative 50.28. And there's a couple of ways to do this problem, but I'm going to show you the way that uses clearing fractions, because we do want to learn how to clear fractions eventually. So the idea of clearing fractions is that we're going to identify the common denominator for all denominators in the problem, and the only denominator that we have in this problem is a 7. So the common denominator is a 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to multiply both sides of the equation by 7, and that will clear the fraction. Okay. So on this side, the 7 will cancel with this 7, and we're just going to use our calculator to do this multiplication. So 50.28 times 7 is 351.96, and it's negative, so we have negative 351.96, and that's equal to, over here, the negative 6x, okay, because these reduce to be a 1. And then at this point, we would want to take the coefficient of the x, which is the negative 6, and we want to divide by that because we're trying to get a coefficient of 1. Okay, so if I divide by both sides by negative 6, then I get x is equal to 58.66. And negative divided by negative is positive there. Okay, so they did ask, they didn't tell you how many decimal places, so you would just plug in that answer. Now, they did ask you to solve using the multiplication principle, and what I used is sort of like a modified multiplication principle. It's really what we do to clear fractions. But if you were going to use the multiplication principle, I just want to show you what that would look like. Really what you would do is you would say, let me multiply both sides by the reciprocal of this coefficient, and that will effectively give me a coefficient of 1. So if I multiplied by negative 7/6 on both sides, then over here I end up getting a positive 1 coefficient for the x, and that's what we're looking for when we solve. And over here, a negative times a negative is positive, and you would just multiply straight across here. So 50.28 times the 7, you get the 351.96, and then in the bottom divide by the 6. Now when you do that division, you'll end up with your 58.66. What I want you to recognize is what I did up here in order to clear fractions was the same thing that we did here. We just actually did both steps in one step down here in using the multiplication principle. Okay, up here we did them separately. We multiplied first and then we divided. Okay, the reason I like you to use this process or to learn this process is because we'll be doing this idea of clearing fractions throughout the rest of the quarter, and actually you'll need this skill out throughout, the rest of your math classes. Okay.